my bones. So best believe it's on. Sweat and tears I've invested in this game. So I lay it on the line because I come to do my thing. Do my thing. I'm on.
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Hope everybody's doing great today. Hope everybody's having a great day. I hope everybody's morning is getting started well. Give everybody a minute to kind of get in here. Just kind of kick it a little bit this morning. Do the same thing that we usually do. We'll go over the pre-markets, have some news, maybe a video to share. We'll see. We'll see what happens this morning. See what goes on this morning. But let's go ahead. We'll get right into it. I haven't been feeling the best over the last couple of days, so kind of making it through. That's about it. But we'll get through. I guess that's what happens when you go from 80 degrees to 30 degrees in a couple hours. Tends to happen. But go ahead and go through this morning routine, guys. Pre-markets look good. They look like they're in green. We actually had a pretty good day yesterday. It didn't start out looking great. Ended up being okay. Bitcoin stayed in there. Ethereum stayed in there. Stock markets didn't do too bad. Yesterday. So stock futures rise after the NASDAQ third straight winning day. So the stock market has actually been doing pretty good. So this is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It's a good thing because we're all making money out here. Hopefully we're all making money. But it gets a little rough when the Fed's trying to suppress the market and the market just keeps bouncing back. So that gets a little rough. But there is some more layoffs coming, and that's what the Fed wants to see, that people are starting to cut their workforce. Coinbase laid off another, I believe, 20-30%. I can't remember the exact number of their employees yesterday. I think if you look at over a 12-month period, I think they might be at like 50% of their workforce right now. So Coinbase is obviously taking a hit, but they overhired during COVID when everybody was at home investing in the market and demand was on the rise. They overhired, so they're just correcting their sheets right now, their balance sheets. So but layoffs are coming, and that's what the Fed wants to see, unfortunately. But the stock market just seems to keep bouncing back. So it's a good and a bad thing, but looks green today, looks good. Fear and greed index today sitting at 26. It's same as yesterday. Nothing has really changed there in the crypto market. Fear and greed index. So, that's been pretty steady. That's the one thing that's been pretty steady throughout the last couple months. Market cap for crypto sitting at about 8 billion 57, about 7 billion from yesterday, which is a nice little increase from over 24 hours, $7 billion into the market. Bitcoin, had a little rally late yesterday, 17,436 right now. So it hung in there. Yesterday had a nice little rally. You see the little chart over here. You see the little 24-hour had a little rally yesterday. So did Ethereum, sitting at about $1,333, $35, somewhere in there. A nice little run up the charts yesterday. Nothing too significant, but at least it's hanging in there, and that's kind of what we want. We want it to hang in there. Tether, we'll talk a little bit about Crow and Tether here in a minute. Tether's having a tough time right now. I'm a little worried about Tether at this point. It's not. It doesn't have the best reputation out there. BNB sitting at 277. Again, they had that same run as Bitcoin and Ethereum, ran up just a little bit, and you know, it's hanging in there. So not too bad, not too bad overall overnight. XRP came up about 2 cents since yesterday. So nice little run up for XRP. Like I said, nothing ran up really crazy. But the good part about it is everything's just kind of hanging in there right now. SHIB had a nice run yesterday though. They're back up in the nine, the so many zeros in nine. I don't even really know how many zeros they have. But they had a nice little run up yesterday. They just dropped back down into the eights here. But they were up in the nines, which was nice. They're sitting at 8-9 right now, so not too bad for SHIB. SHIB had a nice little run. Shibarium is giving them guys some positive press right now, giving them guys some positive movement up the charts. So when you release utility, these are the things that happen. Your token starts to run up a little bit. So, you know, keep that in mind. Utility will run, will help you run the market. So as they get closer and closer to the Shibarium drop, you'll see this probably get a little bit better. Along with Bone. Bone is absolutely on the move. Polygon actually has a nice run going right now. It's in there like 89 cents. It has a really nice run. I have taken some profits off of my Polygon on the way up. But it's had a nice run here. I'd like to see this over $1. I think Matic deserves to be over $1 and get some new support levels over that $1 mark, and it will. They just have so much going on right now, and so many partnerships that they're once they break that $1 mark, I wouldn't be surprised if they consolidate right above that $1 somewhere and kind of hang out there for a while, because they just got so much going on. They're bringing new projects over. Two of the big NFT projects from Solana left Solana. One of them came to Matic, and that was a big deal. Big project came over. So Litecoin, it's been on a nice run. They're having at some point soon here, and that's making this run. So Litecoin's been on a nice run over the past couple weeks. I'm not investing in Litecoin. Thought about it for a little while, but just have never gotten into it. But they are running. Respect. We'll give respect where respect is due, and they're doing all right. Let's see here. What else do we have? I'm looking for right here. Stellar. Stellar's on a decent run. It's up in that 7-cent range. It's been hovering around that high 7 to 8 cent range. So Stellar's hanging in there pretty good as well. Crow sitting above 6 cents now. Remember, this thing was hanging out low 5-cent range, and that's kind of where I started to accumulate some. I was in Crow. I sold all my Crow, bought Quant, and but when this thing really dropped, when they're having some issues with their finances, I decided to kind of dip my toe back in at the low 5-cent range. So I bought some. I've been kind of waiting for it to dip back down there again. I'll accumulate every time it goes back down there and just stock it away for the bull run. But I'm waiting for that low 5-cent range for me to buy again. I'm not going to increase my average on Crow. So when it goes back down, and it will, whatever comes up, it must come down, right? So this thing It's sitting at the 6 cents though, but it was stayed at 5 for a long time. Quant 120. We were buying this a couple weeks ago, right around 109. So you were buying when we were buying right around 109, 106, somewhere in that area. Your bag's probably looking pretty good right now. I have not taken profits off of Quant yet. I've swung traded Quant a couple times. Made some pretty good money, but I think I'm in an accumulation for Quant now. I think I'm going to wait for this thing to come back down and still continue to accumulate a little bit more Quant. So we'll see. But if this thing runs, it's up for sale too, and I'll catch it on the way back down. So H bar has itself a nice little run going on, 4 cents. So it's out of the 3 cent range into the 4 cent range. You see all these charts that over here, they kind of have a nice little run up going over the past 24 hours. It's the market. The market has ran a little bit, so which is making all these kind of altcoins run just a little bit, which is, like I said, it's good. It's a good thing. Little gains here and little gains there are better than big run up and then a big dump. Solana's hanging in there at $15, $15.98. Was as high as 16 the other day, but still a lot of questions around Solana. As you guys know, we talk about it every day. I'm going to kind of leave Solana alone. There's a lot going on around Solana, and I don't want to take the chance of swing trading that and have that in bankruptcy court and have them decide to sell off. So I'm going to kind of sit back and see what happens there. I'm all risk off right now, guys. So in this market right now, I'm kind of risk off. I have projects that I believe in. I'm accumulating in them projects. And that's about it for right now. Not really looking to swing trade a lot. Just this market's just kind of scaring me a little bit. So I'm just kind of staying risk off. But that doesn't mean that I'm not putting money in the market. I am DCAing into the projects that, I believe in, the projects that I truly believe will be here for the long term. So I am DCAing into them, but I'm not increasing my average on any of them particular projects. If they drop below my average cost, I'll buy in. If not, I'm just sitting on the sidelines, staying kind of risk off until we can get a better feel of the market, at least until after Thursday when the CPI data comes out, and we can kind of see where we're at. Our good old crypto bubbles here. Aptos, it had a great run. A couple of days ago, it was up like 33%. You can see it's starting to pull back a little bit now, but that's pretty much a given when you run up 33, 34%. You're going to have a pullback. These are on the hourly. We'll go ahead. Let's see what the overnight markets did before we get into the hourly. Let's see what the overnight. Let's see what the overseas markets did with crypto. About the same as kind of where we're sitting at right now. So a lot of red, a couple greens, but not everything has been hanging in there too. Not too bad. FTT token. This is the FTX token. It was up there yesterday. We couldn't figure out why. I just think a lot of people are shorting it and longing it. It's they're option trading it. So it's one of these things where when you look at it, people are just playing around with it right now. Degens are in there making some money, which, hey, if you guys can make some money off of it, go ahead. I'm not playing around with them shorts and longs because, in this type of market, you can really get wrecked. But hey, if you're good at it and you can do it, and that's what you want to do, then have at it. Make your money. But I think that's what's going on with that FTX token, and that's why it keeps raising high, coming back down, raising up, coming back down. People are just playing with it. but I'm not gonna play that game. Not in this market. So we'll go back to the hourly. You see the United States markets are starting to wake up. People are starting to wake up. People are starting to look at their crypto wallets. They're starting to make some decisions. Getting a little bit redder, but that's okay. We were here yesterday morning and ended up the day ended up well. So I wouldn't get too worried about this. We did have a nice run up yesterday, and everything seems to be holding steady right now. So a steady market isn't a bad market. Just because everything's not running up 20, 30, 40% doesn't mean that the market's unstable. It just means that everything's just hanging on. And that's kind of where we are right now, is we're in a hang on mode, and everything's just kind of hanging in there. And that's good enough for me right now in this market. So we talk a lot about BlockFi and a lot of these things that are going on with the FTX, Three Arrows Capital, and all that stuff. So we talk a lot about that. So there was a report out a couple of days ago that the BlockFi management team were selling off their assets during bankruptcy and right before bankruptcy. The CEO of BlockFi came out and their lawyers came out and explained to the court that they were not selling off assets out of BlockFi right before they filed bankruptcy and while they were in bankruptcy. So this article goes on to explain that the team has not sold anything since October. I don't know, that's one of them 50-50 situations where the blockchain is showing that you kind of may have sold some of your assets out of BlockFi and took them away from the creditors. And then you're coming out explaining to the judge that you may not have. That's one of them things where, who's telling the truth? I don't know. But there's assets that left BlockFi after bankruptcy, and who took them if withdrawals were stopped. So, unless somebody else has a backdoor into BlockFi that can go in there and make withdrawals, then somebody from that management team who could get in and release them funds were taking some of them funds. I don't know. I don't know how else you explain that, but the BlockFi CEO and the lawyer team, they did explain to the court that they did not make any withdrawals since October. But you know what? Somebody was making withdrawals because the blockchain says that there's crypto that left BlockFi's platform that is unaccounted for. So we'll see how this one plays out. But we talked a little bit about these withdrawals coming out of BlockFi before, and obviously the judge wants to know what's going on too. So we ain't the only ones questioning what's going on. Here's something I made a video about yesterday, and I absolutely love this. The judge allows Binance to go ahead and buy Voyager. Binance US, and the key is Binance US, wanted to acquire Voyager Digital and all their assets, and went to the bankruptcy court. The bankruptcy court judge told Binance that they wanted to see the actual finance, the actual money, to make sure that Binance had the money to actually acquire Voyager, and they weren't leveraging different things to acquire Voyager. Obviously, CZ and his legal team went back to the court, showed them the money. That's that old saying, show me the money, baby. And CZ showed them the money. And at that point, the judge is now allowing the sale of Voyager to go through to Binance US. I think this is a great deal. I think that this is a great deal for The Voyager holders, I think this is the best option for them to get the majority of their money back out of Voyager without losing too much. And I think that this is a great deal for Binance US as it strengthens their position in the United States because CZ's buying this under Binance US, not Binance Global. So I think this is a very strategic move from CZ to do that, to go ahead and strengthen his position in the United States. So I think it's a good move for the Voyager holders. I think it's a good move for Binance and CZ and BNB to strengthen their position in the United States. As you know, the United States is always messing with Binance. They always have them in court. They always have them, turning over their records for something. So obviously CZ showed the judge the money. That showed me the money, baby. And he showed him the money. And at that point, there was really not much that the judge could do but allow the acquisition of Voyager to go through. And this should also give people peace of mind that Binance US, is pretty solvent when they can walk into court and sorry about that. When they can walk into court and show the judge all that money. And so there you go. Binance US is buying Voyager. Tom Brady and Gisele, basically their FTX stakes are going to be probably left at zero after this whole bankruptcy thing. This is a report that came out. Robert Kraft got mixed up in this as well. And this article goes on to explain that Tom Brady owned about, that's got to be Gisele's. That they owned like millions. And Tom Brady owned a couple million FTX shares, and Gisele had like 600. I think it was 600,000 or 700,000 shares in FTX, and I think Robert Kraft had a couple 100,000 as well. And according to a judge in court filings in a bankruptcy hearing, that these funds are going to be wiped clean. Tom Brady, Gisele, Robert Kraft, and a couple other people basically are going to have themselves at zero after bankruptcy. So these funds will be wiped clean of them, and they basically will see no money. And reading through this, I think you can start to get a glimpse on how Tom Brady, Gisele, and maybe a lot of the other people that were involved in FTX were actually paid. They were actually paid through shares. Because when you're sitting on a couple $1 million of shares and a couple 100,000 shares, depending on who you are, it goes to show you were probably paid in shares, and their shares were probably FTT tokens, and it doesn't look good, and it looks like they're going to be zeroed out from what the bankruptcy court judge says. So it looks like they're basically going to come out of this deal at zero. So you're looking at Tom Brady, Gisele, and Robert Kraft basically losing everything in the FTX fiasco. So there was a list of everybody who was significantly impacted by the FTX fiasco and whose accounts will be wiped to zero. That full list I have not seen, but Tom Brady, Gisele, and Robert Kraft. And people who don't know who Robert Kraft is, he's the owner of the New England Patriots. It looks like they're going to be wiped out to zero along with everybody else. So pretty significant that you have some very, very high profile people that are going to be actually wiped out to zero. So doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for FTX as a whole. So You're messing with Tom Brady and Giselle, so that's probably not a good situation. Um, but yeah, pre-markets is hanging in there. Like I told you guys earlier, I kind of feel like crap past couple days. If you guys watch my videos yesterday, you could probably hear it in my voice. Wasn't really feeling well, but we grinded out. Market market's still looking good. Still looking good. Still look like it's hanging in there. I expect a good day in the market today. Um, I keep waiting for Bitcoin to kiss that $18,000 mark. I think its next line of support is right around 18.1. So we may slowly grind our way up there. But again, we have to just wait and see what happens on Thursday. But we very well may slowly grind ourselves up there. But we'll see. I expect a good day in the market today. Despite all this red over the hourly, I think this will turn around as the day moves on. I think this will turn around. I think a lot of it will go green. And I think this market will actually do itself a favor today. But I'm impressed with Matic. Very much impressed with Polygon over the past couple of days, sitting at 85 cents. It was just a couple weeks ago. We're sitting here talking about Matic. We're talking about buying Matic at 75 cents, 77 cents as being good entry points, probably. And then it just, got to 80 cents and just took off to 85. So I'm impressed with Matic right now and where they're at. So very, very good blue chip. I think Matic was probably the token of 2022 as far as the blue chips and how it performed. And I just think that Matic's upside is so good that it's hard to ignore at this point. Big deal. I'm going to share this with you guys as I take some coffee here. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Grayscale, DCG, and the big deal that this is going to have. This could actually tank the markets. This DCG and Grayscale could actually tank the markets. A lot of people aren't talking about it. A lot of people aren't really paying a lot of attention to it. But this involves DCG. This involves Genesis. This involves Grayscale. And if Genesis goes down, DCG goes down, and then Grayscale is forced to spin off of them or liquidate its assets, this could have a real negative impact on the market. This could be an event where the markets actually tank. So just want to share with you guys the take here that these two have on this, and I'll let you listen to a little bit of this, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Hopefully you guys can hear this in a minute.
That there's a couple of lawsuits or quasi lawsuits against Gemini. One is alleging that the earn product was actually a security and therefore it should have been registered with the SEC. And the other one is what's called a request for a class action arbitration, just a different way kind of doing a class action lawsuit. And 3 Gemini Earn users have filed that against Genesis and DCG, saying that Genesis failed to return Gemini Earn users' digital assets as required under the firm's master agreements. Do you think that either of these lawsuits have any legs?
Yes, let's start with the master agreements. So the master agreement has a representation to solvency. What does that mean? It means that Genesis is repping to any creditor that they're solvent. And this is why you see, including the communication this week and including the DCG letter to shareholders, that they keep insisting that Genesis has a liquidity issue and not a solvency issue. If Genesis was found to be insolvent and they took customer creditor funds in, then they would be in violation of contract law. So one of those claims, which you pointed out, I think has merit under the basic question around how did DCG fill the impairment or the hole that occurred on Genesis's balance sheet due to the defaulted Three Arrows Capital balance. You can only fix an equity hole by adding new capital. DCG has not added enough capital to repair the damage from the defaulted loan. There was a set of transactions around this $1.1 billion loan, which appears to an attempt to restore to solvency. So I think there's some merit there. But again, I have not seen the line items on Genesis's balance sheet. The second question around, was this a securities offering? I believe it was. Look, what is a security? It's when you offer an investment contract to a party with an expectation of profit, and you rely on the efforts of others. Those are the prongs of the Howey test. By the way, the loan agreement acknowledges or at least contemplates the possibility that the loans could be considered securities. So, Gemini had very good lawyers when they drafted that agreement. And what it says, by the way, is that if these loans are treated as securities, then the loans are unwound and have to be paid back immediately. Of course, that's a moot point now because Genesis has suspended all withdrawals. But I do think that exposes liability. And of course, it's been publicly reported that state attorney generals are investigating Genesis. It's been alleged that the SEC is also investigating Genesis, which would be very ironic since DCG filed suit against the SEC. But my layman interpretation is that is an unregistered security offering made to the public with insufficient risk factor disclosure, such as a PPM.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry, PPM. Can you define that?
A PPM is a private placement memorandum. So when you invest in a private company, you receive, depending on the nature of the filing and so forth, but there's a disclosure of risk factors. And if you invest in a startup or you invest in a credit instrument, the PPM would have 10 to 20 pages of risk factors. There is no PPM. The disclosure merely states that Genesis is the counterparty to the loan.
When you think about this for a second, you have to look at the fact that Genesis was caught up in this Three Arrows Capital fiasco. DCG bailed them out. DCG actually is owner of Genesis, so they covered the hole in the balance sheet. Genesis is showing that loan as an asset, which is showing Genesis as being solvent, right? So that's how they're showing themselves solvency, but really they have a $1.5 billion hole. So DCG took that on, and so DCG, these loans are coming due. They don't have enough to cover them. Grayscale doesn't bring in enough revenue per year to cover the hole, so they can't move enough money around. Gemini, the actual trading platform that was using Genesis Earn, is now wanting their money, and the holders are wanting their money, and Genesis doesn't have it, DCG doesn't have it, Grayscale doesn't have it to give it to them. Now Gemini itself, the exchange, can force, if they can get a couple more creditors, which they already have, to force a Chapter 11 bankruptcy on Genesis. They can do that based on a promissory note. And also, when you heard them talk about a security offering and how this could be considered a security offering, and there is a class action lawsuit out there from the Gemini Earn group of holders where they want the this to be considered a unregistered security offering that was done basically legally. So there's a lot going on right there. And with that, like there's if Grayscale goes down, DCG goes down, Grayscale goes down, Genesis goes down, all in Chapter 11, this could end up being an event for the crypto market that I'm not sure that the crypto market wouldn't dip down and not be able to handle. That it's going to be a real negative impact on the cryptocurrency market. And this thing's getting closer than what people are talking about. This thing's getting closer than what anybody's covering with this DCG situation. And DCG owns a lot of cryptocurrencies, and Grayscale owns so much Bitcoin that it could literally tank the Bitcoin price. So if Grayscale's not spun off, if DCG and Genesis have to file for bankruptcy and Grayscale's not spun off where somebody else can accumulate it, you're looking at a big price impact for Bitcoin if they're forced to liquidate their positions. So there's a lot going on. And when you look at what Genesis owns and DCG owns, there's a tremendous amount of cryptocurrency in their portfolios. And again, much like FTX, if they're forced to sell this in the open market, all them cryptocurrencies could actually dump. So, this is something that everybody needs to pay attention to because it's not covered as much as it should be covered. But that Genesis, Grayscale, and DCG situation, depending on how this thing is going to play out, could be a huge deal for the cryptocurrency market, and could have really bad negative impacts on the market in general. So we need to cover this a little bit more. We will cover this a little bit more here, just because it's that big of a deal, and it's just not getting the attention because But basically, Gemini, the exchange, it can force a Chapter 11 on Genesis and DCG. And the Winklevoss twins, who own Gemini, if you visit their Twitter page, they put out a letter, which I'm not going to bring up here, but you guys can go back and read it. They put out a letter, basically putting DCG on the spot and telling them that he stopped short of calling their operations a fraud. And he used very specific words, like DCG and Genesis funds were commingled. If we remember the word commingled, that's much of the same verbiage that was used in the FTX fiasco. So he uses a lot of the verbiage that took down FTX and BlockFi and the rest of them guys, when he's addressing Genesis and DCG. And this could end up being very negative impact on the cryptocurrency market, and actually could end up being worse than FTX, in my opinion, just because of the amount of cryptocurrency that's in play and the amount of players that are in play. So that's XI Gaming. I see you. How are you? Good morning. So something that I think needs a little bit more coverage because of the impact. And I see that Cronos, we did a video about Cronos yesterday, in Canada is not going to offer Tether on their exchange for the Canadian users, based on regulatory compliance. The Canadian government does not want Tether on their exchange, which is interesting. So this is something too that people need to keep an eye on, because if the Canadian government doesn't believe in Tether, because for whatever reasons they don't believe in Tether, I don't necessarily have my money in Tether, so I don't really know what the situation is over there. But I know that Tether has had some bad publicity. They've had some bad press. There's questions about whether or not Tether's actually backed up by real dollars. It's one of these that are based in the Bahamas. So regulatory compliance for them isn't as stringent as it is in the United States. So obviously, the Canadian government has an issue with this. So Cronos will not be offering Tether to its customers in Canada. And you have to wonder if that's also going to roll over to the United States as the United States starts to regulate crypto. Are they going to look at Tether and no longer want to offer it in the United States? If and when that happens, Tether could be in a lot of trouble. So if you have money in Tether, take this information for what it's worth, do what you want with it. But at the end of the day, a whole country doesn't want Tether on their exchange. So you take that, use that for what you want to use that with, take that information for what you want. But Crypto.com will not be offering Tether for that specific reason. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here this morning, guys. Not feeling well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here and gave you guys the news, gave you guys pre-markets. Pre-markets look good. Cryptocurrency market looks good today. I'm expecting a good day in crypto. Expecting a decent day. Expecting a lot of this red to turn green as the morning moves on. Because Bitcoin is hanging in there. It's doing well on the overnight. So isn't Ethereum. So isn't BNB. So all this stuff is doing pretty good. And the market itself is doing good. So let's expect a decent day. And with that, guys, appreciate your time. I know I really didn't get to you guys' comments this morning. Sorry about that, but just not really feeling well. So I'm out. Have a good day. I'll see you guys in the chats. Hopefully, as the morning moves on, I'll be creeping in on people's lives and chatting, but my voice ain't gonna allow me to keep going. So with that, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, share this out. Appreciate it. Have a great morning, and everybody have a great day. It's Wednesday. We're halfway over the hump. Have a good one. Peace. I'm out.